Yeah, good morning, students. So, welcome to the computer organization class. Okay. Since this is the first class, I would like to discuss the contents of the syllabus. Okay. So, the subject code is 18634. Okay, it's very similar to 7634. So, I'm just briefing you out about the contents of the syllabus for you people. As you all know, your scheme, according to scheme, 5 modules. Okay. In module 1, we are going to discuss the basics of computers and its organization, structures, and different functional units of a computer and its structure and its performances. Okay. And the memory operations, the assembly language, basic IO operations, okay, and basic instructions to carry out the IO operations. And these are the concepts we are going to discuss in module 1. See, basically all the 5 modules, this subject is basically about understanding how exactly computer is going to function. Okay, both hardware, totally hardware aspects. Okay, how you can at the base level, how you can program this computer hardware to make to make the computer functional. What are the different functional units that are important and how we can program that. Okay, just this particular subject gives an insight into those aspects. Okay, so that's what I mean to say. Okay, so I hope basically by this time you'll be having some idea about the computer and its functional units. Okay, it's quite common and general now. You might have studied in your high schools or maybe your 12th class, maybe some PCMCS students, a specialization in computer science, maybe much more familiar with certain terms and terminologies we are going to come across here. So here, that's what. Like in the first module, there is just a brief introduction. Okay, about certain things like the processor registers, the internal organization of the CPU and its connection with different registers. That's the very first point from where we have to start understanding the computer organization. And what is memory address, memory allocations, these sort of things. In the module 2, it's totally about the IO devices. So you know what are the IO devices, how the operating system is going to handle a certain request from the IO devices whenever IO operation has to be carried out. Very interesting one. Okay. Then module 3 it is totally about the memory. So memory of the computer. So module 3 is totally about a memory system. Again, very interesting and very important module for you people, where you want to understand different algorithms, different methods of mapping the memory, and how the main memory works, how the secondary memory works, what are the importance of different memories. Like this, there are many important such concepts you're going to learn. The module 4 is all about arithmetics. Okay, how your arithmetical logical unit can be developed. Okay, I hope in the same semester you're also going to understand or study one more subject called analog and digital electronics. Okay, where you're going to study about different logical design circuits like full adder, full subtractor, right, and adder, subtractor circuits. Like that, there are many other small digital circuits you are going to study. Okay, using which you can accomplish certain binary additions and subtractions. Okay, so with respect to the how you can develop certain how you can implement using that, how you can develop a small circuit, okay, to make a certain arithmetic and logical functional unit. So those things you are going to study. So again, very interesting. In model 5, it's all about the basic processing unit, totally about the microprogram controlled and the hardware control. Okay, later you're going to understand about those things. So this is about the syllabus and the question paper pattern. You all know already. Okay, the question will be of 10 questions, 2 questions from each module. Okay, the scheme and almost everything you are very familiar with already. Okay, 18 scheme students, I hope. Okay, and the textbook is Karl Hamascher, which is available in library also. Please follow this particular textbook. It's very important. You can expect most of the problems from this textbook itself. Okay, I'll give the notes, materials, and all the other stuff. Please do follow it. Okay, and you please follow the textbook also, which is for better understanding, for better knowledge. You should always have the habit of referring the textbook. So that's what I suggest you people. Okay. So right away on this note, we'll start introduction for the syllabus. Okay. You can see. Okay. See what is there in the syllabus here. Basic structure of a computer. That is basic operational concepts, bus structures, performance, clock, all the stuff we're going to study in detail later. Okay. First we'll see what exactly are the functional units of a computer. Okay. So here you can see the basic functional units of a computer. So you can see here we need there is a processor, there is I/O, and there is a memory between that. Okay. And in processor we have ALU, arithmetic and logical units, which we call it as ALU unit, and we have a control unit, and we have input and output devices. Both together we call it as I/O. So there are certain roles and responsibilities of each and every unit that is there here. So this is just a schematic diagram of a simple basic function units of a computer. As I told, there is certain roles and responsibilities for each and every function unit what you are going to see here. So we have a processor, the memory, and the I/O devices. Okay. So we will see that. First, try to understand what these devices. See, any simple. See what is a computer? Just an extended version of simple calculator. That's all it is. Okay. So what computer will do? It is going to perform certain calculations. It's going to perform certain tasks for us, right? And for a computer to perform certain tasks, what we need to give is do is we have to give certain input for the computer. Okay. Then what computer will do? It will perform its task. It will produce the result. Right. So the overall operation of a particular of achieving a particular task with the computer starts with the input devices and ends with the output device. Input device we give the input, output device it will display the output. Right. So between this input and output, there is other internal operations that will be carried out. So we'll see all those things in later. So this is a general operation of a computer is always like this. Starts with input, ends with the output. Okay, you start with input device, you end with the output device. You give the input on the input device, you see the output on the output device. So that's all, right? So here, input device, generally what are the input devices? See generally what you know is the keyboard, mouse, are the quite input devices which are quite general in nature, which you're all very much familiar with. Okay. Then what are output devices? Maybe your console, that is this, your monitor, or printer, right? There are many other such, these are the few general output devices which you are familiar with. Okay. Similarly, then we have a processor. Processor consists of the control and ALU. So why control and ALU? For these devices, okay, for input and output devices, or maybe the memory device or IO device. See, these function units are basically connected together. Okay, they're not isolated. They're not independent function units. They are connected together. Okay. So when they are connected together, we need certain commands and some sort of synchronization between those devices to cooperate with each other. Right? Yeah, that particular thing is, we call it as synchronization. That is basically done by generating the control signals. The proper generation of the control signals and synchronizing the communication between the devices. Okay, so that basically control unit, we call it as the heart of a computer. almost all the control signals, whatever it is generated by the control unit, that will make other functional units to act according to the instructions what we give. That's how the computer systems works. Actually, basically we call it as they are all the functional units are interconnected by certain structure which is called a bus structure. Okay, and they are controlled, and they are made functional, and they are monitored by the signals generated by the control units. So basically, all the basic control unit is like one particular monitoring part which is going to generate proper timing and control signals, which should make other functional units to work here. And then we have ALU, that is arithmetic and logical unit. See, a computer can perform whatever the operations, okay, by using arithmetic and logical circuits that are there. Like we are going to study in depth of what are arithmetic circuits, what are logical circuits, all those things. Now at this point you should just understand that, okay, this particular functional part, it contains certain circuits, okay, some digital circuits it contains. Okay, it can perform, as I told, for like the adders, subtractors, certain logical operations. Everything has to be carried out in that particular unit. So that particular unit contains those circuitries to carry out that particular task based on the given input. So now there comes the memory. So what is memory? So you all know that any information given to the computer, you need some space where the information is to be stored, right? So memory, we have primary memory and also secondary memory. So part of the primary memory, part of memory which we call the primary memory, that's always associated with the processor memory. Then there is a secondary memory, which we will also call it as a storage memory. Okay, so memory is a unit where all the informations are stored either temporarily or permanently. So we'll see again in detail. Okay, so memory, what is RAM memory, what is ROM memory. So all those things we are going to study in detail later. Okay, at this point of time, just you have to understand, memory is some functional unit where the information is stored. Okay, there will be some information that is to be stored permanently, and some information that is to be stored temporarily, that keeps changing. So all the both aspects are there. We are going to discuss about that later. Okay, this is just a brief introduction about different functional units, different parts of a computer. Okay, so now I hope you understood. So information handled by the computer. See, basically how the computer is made functional by using some set of instructions which we call it as program. So programs are the only thing, okay, that will be given as a the program is some entity that whenever it gets executed, any function is going to perform its task. Okay, so what are the instructions and machine instructions? We'll see all those things later. Okay, at this point of time, just understand that instructions or machine instructions are nothing but some commands. Okay, for example, a simple command, I will say add 1, 2. Then computer should add 1 and 2 just to store some result in some register or some memory. So it is, command is something like that. Okay, so basically for a computer to perform certain task, what is needed? One instruction is needed, data is needed. Understanding? What is the two things that are needed? Instructions and data. For example, add R1, R2. If you say like that, then add is an instruction. Okay, R1 and R2 is the data. R1, R2 stands for registers. Okay, processor registers or general purpose registers. Different types of registers are there. We'll see all those things later in detail. Okay. So basically, instructions are nothing but a program. Program is nothing but a set of instructions, okay, which are executed sequentially one after the other to perform one specific task. Right? To perform a specific task, what is needed? Program is needed, data is needed. Right? and whatever you give, that will be converted into computer hardware understandable form, okay, which is binary, zeros and ones. Okay, now we'll see. So what is memory unit? So what memory unit will do, it is going to store programs and data, as I told before. Okay, there are two classes of storage, the primary and secondary. Okay, see, primary memory is very little in size, okay, but it is costly also. It has its own advantages. What is that? Fast. See, I hope you must have heard about the word RAM, random access memory, by this time. So that is one example of a primary storage. Okay, so primary storage is such a place where all the data required by the processor is always taken from the primary storage only. So any information the processor has to take, that has to take that information from primary memory. Okay. So the programs will be stored in the memory while they are being executed. That's what, at the run time, during the execution time, whatever the data needed by the processor, the data should be present in the main memory. Okay. What is that? It is basically some series of storage cells developed by using certain semiconductor devices. Then again, how the information is addressed there, addressed is by using certain word address or byte address. Again, big Indian, little Indian, different addressing methods are there. We are going to discuss about that later. Okay. And secondary storage is nothing but a disk or something like that, where you store the information permanently. Okay, this is not directly connected to the processor. So that's the basic difference. See, primary storage is very, very close to the processor, where whenever the processor wants the data, it has to take the data from primary memory. Okay, secondary memory, it is, if anything that is there in the secondary memory, that has to be available for a processor, it has to be copied from secondary to the main memory. So the main memory is the only place, only area from where the processor is going to fetch the data. So that's how you have to understand. Okay. Again, as we discussed before, the most of the operations are executed in the ALU of the processor. So what ALU will do? Okay. So you see the functions. First, load the operands into the memory, bring them to the processor, perform the operation in ALU, store the result back to memory and return in the processor. Okay, so there is some sequence, basically some general sequence I will tell you. That is fetch, decode, execute and store, FDES. Okay, for any simple instruction that you execute, that should contain at least these four steps. Okay, what is that? Fetch, decode, execute and store. So 4 steps which are quite common in to execute any simple instruction. So most computer operations are executed in the area of the processor. These are steps. Okay, first is load the operates into the memory. That is nothing but the fetching. Okay. So because, as I told before, again, if any program has to be executed, then that instructions should be available in the main memory. That is called loading the operands into memory. Okay, so once you load the operands into the memory, then processor can fetch it. When the processor fetches the instruction, it is going to decode that instruction. Then it is going to understand what is there, what is the given instruction. So you will be writing the instructions in the English language like add, load, store or something. But every such commands, okay, will have some machine code. Okay, at the base level, that will be converted into machine code so that processor can understand what this particular operation stands for. Then accordingly that particular operation has to be carried out. So who will carry out that? Arithmetical logic unit. Okay. So after the execution, after performing the task, the output is nothing but the result. Result can be stored either in certain processor registers, or it can be stored in the memory, in certain memory locations, in form of certain by naming them, by storing them in some operands or something, or some processor registers. That is, we call it as general purpose registers, like this. Okay, which we can use it for later use. Okay. So fast control of ALU, control computer control by, again that's what we discussed already. Okay. It is like a heart of a computer. The complete neural system, nerve system of a computer is controlled by control units. So the operations of a computer, again we have discussed this already. Okay. So what is different types of instructions that we come across? So you can see now, to understand, before you understand the operation of a computer, first understand basic instructions, how the operation is carried out with respect to these basic instructions, then we'll understand functionally how it will be carried out. So add LOCA or not, assume this is some instruction. What this instruction will do, it is going to, see, add is some instruction, location A comma R naught is the data, right? So to perform a task, what are two things that are required? Instruction and data, right? Both are there. So this instruction, what it will do, it will load the contents, add the contents from location A. So location A is nothing but some operand, okay, where the data is stored. Okay, it is some location where the data is stored. Okay, then what it has to be done? Come R0. See, every time we use that notation R1, R0, R2, R3 to represent the general purpose registers of a processor. So these are things which you should be aware of every time you see these words or such terms and terminologies. You get familiar with this later, which means that it represents some processor register. Okay. So what this instruction will do is, it is going to add the content of location A and R0, store the result in R0. Okay, store the result in R0. That's what this instruction will do. So when it does such things, so what exactly is going to happen? You can see it will place some into the R0. Okay, the original contents of location A are preserved. Yes, whatever is there in the content, that remains same. That is location A. Okay. The original contents of R0 is overwritten. Yes, R0 contains something else before the execution of this instruction. After the execution of this instruction, R0 contains the result of this add instruction. Okay. So instruction is fetched from the memory into the processor. The operand at location A is fetched and added to the contents of R0. The resulting sum is stored in the R0. Yes. And we have separate memory access and ALU operations. Okay. Now you can see this example here. Load LOCA, R1, add R1, R0. So what will be the case in these instructions? We will see. Okay. See, what this instruction will do is, see, if you want to preserve certain contents, there are different ways how we can write a program to perform the same simple task. You should be familiar with many different sort of instructions that are available. Okay. So these two instructions, if you consider, first instruction will load the content of location A to R1. Just data will be copied, that's it. Okay. The second instruction is add instruction, add R1, R0. So basically what is happening here is, there is addition that is performed between the contents of location A and R0, and the result is stored in R0. That's what is happening. But here the content of R0 is preserved. Both location A and R1, content of location A and R1 is preserved after the instruction. We are not altering the contents. Okay. That's the difference. That's it. Now this is the most important thing that you have to understand here. Important diagram every time. Almost every question paper, okay, this particular diagram is asked. Very commonly asked question, quite frequently every time. Okay, just interconnection of different registers. Okay, connection between the processor and the memory. Okay, you can see here. See, processor and the memory. You can see this memory here. It represents main memory. That you have to keep in mind. Always memory stands for always main memory, because secondary memory we call it as a storage. not the memory. So memory, when I say memory, it is primary memory only. Okay, you can see the interconnections here. Okay, see there is memory and there is a processor. So just recall the previous things what we discussed. As I told when we were discussing the basic function units, I told that if the processor has to take the data, it should always take the data from the primary memory only, right? You can see this arrow mark, that's the meaning. Okay, how this is connected to processor. If processor needs something, it has to take from this. It needs some data from the memory. Yes. So we'll see the internal organization, all those things, and all the other connections we'll see later. Okay, at this point of time. Okay. Here is a memory. The memory is connected to few other functional parts here. This is the connection between processor and the main memory, right? We have a ALU here, we have a control, right? We have MER, we have PC, we have IR, we have MDR. So what are these things? Okay. MER stands for memory address register. Okay, we'll discuss about that later in depth. Okay. Then MDR stands for memory data register. Then PC stands for program counter. IR stands for instruction register. Okay. Then what is R0, R1, Rn minus 1? These are n general purpose registers. Again, so more the number of registers, more is the capacity of the memory capacity of the particular processor, particular device. It is like that. When L is a arithmetic logic unit, which you know already. Okay. Now this is a control unit. You know already what control unit will generate proper control signals. Okay. So what is the significance? What is the roles and responsibilities of these individual function units within this particular architecture? We'll see. Okay. So as I told, you know already what is control unit, what is the ALU. Okay. You need to understand these four. This part. So R0, Rn, so they are general purpose. We call them GPRs. General purpose registers. Okay. General purpose registers are very fast access registers which have very little access time. So that whenever a processor needs a data, if the data is directly available in any of the registers, just you can refer the particular register name in the instruction so that processor can directly take the data from the registers. Okay. Then we have MER, we have MDR, that is memory address register, memory data register. We'll see later in depth, okay, what are the functions, what are the basic functions of those registers. Then we have PC, that is program counter, then IR, instruction register. So just recall the previous example, that is add location A, or not. Okay. So consider the execution of that particular instruction here. There, see again, to perform a task, as we discussed before, we need two things, that is instruction and data, right? So you can see these two registers here. Okay. So by this time you must be knowing, okay, in memory data register and memory address register. Okay. We need both the instruction and the data. Okay. So data, how it is available? See, either you can store the data in any of the processor register, or you can say the data in certain memory location. So when you say the data in some of the memory locations, you have to save to the proper address. You have to refer that address in the instruction. Okay. So when you do that, okay, that address is loaded into the register called MER. Okay. For example, if you want to execute an instruction, it is location A, or not. So what is location A? It is some location in the memory, right? So to fetch the particular data from location A. So what is location A? We have to index it, right? So where the data that is available? That is available in MER. Okay. Go to MER, then you will find the mapping, that is what is location A. Okay. What is the address? Then in that address, then we have a MDR that contains the data. Just take it. Okay. Go here, find the address. In this address, what is the data that you will get here? Okay, that's it. Okay, fine. Then what is instruction? Instruction is there in the program. That is instruction register. We have instruction. That is add. Add is there here. Okay, add is there here. then location A is there here, or not register it is there in instruction, you take it from here. Okay, then in data we have what is there in the content of or not, that data is loaded here. What is the content of location A, that is added here. Okay, then there is a control signal that will be generated from the control unit, because according to the instruction register contains the instruction. Okay, then see, and executing of instruction is not one step procedure. So execution of any instruction contains multiple steps, because the program contains many instructions. Okay, so here again, as I told, it is step by step process. Okay, so program counter always points to the address of the next instruction that has to be executed, because see, the program is also some set of instruction that is stored in some part of the memory, right? So in order to execute the particular program also, we have to move from one step to other step, means in the memory location we have to go for one instruction after the other, in a particular program. So always PC, which stands for program counter, holds the address of the next instruction that is to be executed, because program may contain 8 lines, 10 lines, 15 lines, 20 lines, whatever it is. Okay, so once you execute one particular instruction, what is the next instruction? So that address is always found in program counter. Understanding? So instruction register contains that particular instruction that is to be executed. So that is how it is. That's how these two are related. Understanding? So if you take example, add location A, comma or not, then add is there here. What is the address of add? That is there here. Okay. Or not is there here. Location A will get here. So data from location A, procure from the data from or not, fetch it from here, stored here. Then take this data, control unit will do the operation according to the instruction that is there here, right? Until all the instructions in the program are over, fine. Then processor will do that. So then the result is stored where, again, according to the instruction, whatever it is, wherever the it is to be stored. If that is given in the instruction, that in that place the result will be stored. This is a simple cycle how a simple instruction will be executed. Okay. So later we are going to study in depth about all those things. So basically, again, instruction register, program counter, MDR, MER, which we have discussed already. Okay. So this is a few sequence of steps I think you have to go through to better understand. Okay. So programs reside in the memory through the input devices. Yes. To add that, first you have to give the instruction to the computer, but that is by using keyboard you are going to do it. Then PC is set to point to the first instruction. Okay. Program counter. Okay. Initially set to the first instruction, because counter is a pointer. Program counter is a pointer that will be incremented every time. Always points to the next instruction that is to be executed. See, the contents of the PC are transferred to where? MER, memory address. That's what I told, right? Memory address register. This is location A. What is there? Then read signal is sent to the memory. The first instruction is read out and loaded into the MDR. So in the first instruction, whatever data is there, okay, that particular data is loaded into MDR. Okay. Then the contents of MDR are transferred to the IR, to the instruction register. Yeah. Decoding, decoding instructions, that we'll see later. Okay. Let's see that. Next part. Okay. So you can understand these sequences here, just like this. Okay. Instructions. So get the operands for ALU, that is with general purpose register. Address to MER, read, MDR, PLU. These are sequences which you should always keep in mind to understand that. The perform operation in ALU, here it is, in this example it's add, store the result back in the CPU, either into general purpose register or to some memory location, as it is mentioned in instructions. Okay. So during the execution, PC is incremented to the next instruction. That's what PC is always incremented by certain amount, so that it should point to the next instruction. Okay. So next is interrupt. Well, at this point of time, we'll stop at this particular point of time. Okay. So in the next class, we'll discuss about the further concepts like this. interrupts and the other important concepts, the bus structures, performance equations, and finding timing signals of the processor and operating system. All those things we'll discuss in the next class. Okay. Thank you everyone.